So a lot of the stuff in the comments has been about conceal carry, talking about, hey, can you guys do a video on conceal carry or whatever? Absolutely. When a lot of the stuff we've done has been from outside the waistband because, well, that's kind of what we do in class and that's what I like doing. But conceal carry is a good point. So before we get into conceal carry draws and talking about different gun positions and everything else, probably a good video to start off is actually talking about how we defeat the garment, right? Which is kind of a fancy way to say clear your shirt, right? So you can actually get to the gun. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about the different types of garments out there and how that can affect things. Then we're gonna talk about short sleeve, like a t-shirt versus a button down, like I got on right now. And then lastly, we're gonna talk about single hand versus two hand. And we're gonna give you a couple different options in there, what some people like versus other people. Again, at the end of the day, it's kind of your choice. You don't have to do it one specific way, right? So a good friend of mine was an instructor for us. He used to always kind of jokingly when people would say, well, this is how I'd do it, he always said, well, it's your gunfight, bro. So I kind of like that term. So we'll get into that. We'll cover those things. And if you got anything different that you do, go ahead and put it down in the comments. One more thing. If you have questions about, hey, what gun is that? Hey, what's this? What's that? Just like every video we do at the very end a gear breakdown, especially for those questions. So if you have a question, go ahead and go right to that at the very end. And then you can come back, but it's at the end of the video just for you. So I mentioned it a minute ago, we're talking about different types of garments. Now we're actually gonna cover those. So the first type we're gonna talk about is just the regular old t-shirt, right? That most of us wear every single day. The other type we gotta talk about is our button downs, and then whether a thicker material that affects us or with these performance materials. So let's go ahead and look at just the regular t-shirt first. So I really like cotton. It does a really good job of actually giving you something to kind of grab, right? When you actually draw. It's easy to grab with your hands, pulls right up. You're not gonna miss it as much, whether you like hand down, grab a clump and roll under, or whether you like to stay thumb up and come here, or even for those of y'all that like to reach under the shirt and come like this, okay? So cotton's good. It has a little bit of texture to it. It's not gonna slip as much right in your hands if your hands are real dry, you know what I mean? And smooth and silky smooth, all that stuff. It's just gonna be a little bit easier for you. So shirts are good. It also does a fairly decent job depending on how you're standing, right? And actually not like when the wind blows, it doesn't just outline the gun completely. It has a little bit more rigidity to it. It's not as flexible. So it's not bad. Good option. It's what most of us wear probably 90% of the time when we're concealed carrying. Next thing we're gonna look at is actual like flannel type material, right? So this is cotton flannel. So this is good because it's a heavier material, and with the heavier materials, you're gonna grab onto it usually a little bit easier. Has a little bit more texture to it, so it grips in your hands, and so on and so forth. Pretty obvious there. And then lastly, we need to talk about some of the performance materials, right? So these performance materials, think of it like the loose-fitting Under Armour style shirts. Those are not a big fan of them for concealed carry. Again, you're gonna have a gun and be wearing whatever, right? But just understanding that it might be a little bit easier or harder depending on what you're wearing. So with this, kind of the downside of this is it is a little slicker on the hands. So we tend to like miss the shirt a little bit more. When we go to grab that like handful, you might miss it. So you might be forced to reach underneath and kind of grab underneath the shirt, which again, I don't like that much, okay? So the other part of it is too, when the wind blows or just the way it kind of drapes on your body, because it's such a little bit thinner, a little more flexible material, you know what I mean? It just kind of hangs and tends to outline that gun a little bit more than normal. So everything's got a positive, everything's got a drawback, right? But as long as you understand the different materials, you'll be just fine.
If you want to wear performance shirts and conceal carry, you need to grow your chest.
Yeah, there you go, dude. Get a big chest up here so it pushes the shirt out so you don't walk around like this, all right? Like one of these, like my pregnant belly. I'm gonna pull that belly in and straighten up. So that's actually an interesting point, Tom. Posture has a lot to do with how you print or how well you can kind of conceal that gun. What a lot of people do is, I don't want to get too much in the workout side of it, right? But you have this, a lot of people tend to lose strength in their stomach and what's called your TVA, your transverse abdominis, and that gives you that like the old dad bod, you know, like the pot belly, kind of pooches out. They're like, how come my gun prints all the time?
And they walk with their hips forward.
Yeah, and then they sink their hips forward like this and they arch their back, right? Well, one, if I walk around and stand like an idiot, right, like a goober and have bad posture like this, my gun's gonna print. But if I just simply pull my head up a little bit, pull in through the stomach and settle my hips, immediately now that gun's in line, and naturally it's gonna be, the chest should be a little bit farther out, right? Depending on how you lift, depending on your body type and everything else. But even you big old boys out there like, well, I just got a big fat belly. True, you do, and you should change that for, you know, the future so you don't die on us. But at the same time, simply just straightening up and fixing your posture some can help out a lot too. So a lot of it has to do with bad posture. Absolutely, man. Did you guys know that Tom carries all this equipment around, which there's a lot of it you guys don't see on the side of the camera, back there, in this tiny itsy bitsy little Toyota hatchback, all the way from Nashville to out here, like an hour drive? Well, thankfully that might change here pretty soon because Vertx has agreed to sponsor our channel, which is a good thing for us and for you guys too. Because if Vertx sponsors our channel, we get to bring higher quality content to y'all. We get to do cool new projects like the short film that we got coming out here in a few months and some other stuff. So Vertx is an extremely well-known and respected company in the industry. I've known them for a long time. You guys probably have too. Everyone's heard about them. So they agreed to come down and help us out and give us some money for these vids. With that said, 2 of their bags that they got here for us today. So this is the COF range bag. This one's the heavy, and this is the COF range bag light. And these are pretty good, well-made and well thought out range bags to store all your gear when you go to the range. So check them out. On top of that, one, thank you Vertx for sponsoring the channel. We've had quite a few companies hit us up and say, hey, we want to do this, can we work together? I'm like, I don't know, man. It just didn't feel right. We don't know if we really felt good about that, but we do about Vertx, as you all know. So check them out. And if you want to help us get Tom a new truck, just head down to the little description below and click that link and buy something from Vertx. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about clearing our shirt with just a t-shirt on. And at first we're gonna do this with both hands, and then we'll cover it with single hand after that. Doo-doo-doo. These things sound just like the pig from that movie Sing, where he's like beep, bop, boop. That's what it sounds like when they turn off. So, all right, so with 2 hands, when we're clearing the shirt, there's a couple of different, kind of options on what some people out there like to do. But one thing that we know is that when we come down, lead hand has to defeat the shirt and the trail hand has to come right behind it. So whether you like to kind of reach down and grab a whole handful here, which is what I like to do, just right on top of the belt buckle and gun or however that works, and then grab and curl my fingers in and pull up, just like that, that's fine, hand can come on the gun. Some people like to do what they call like thumbs up, where they come down or they come up like this and their thumb is up the whole time. And then I guess the reasoning for that is once the gun comes out, their hand's right where it needs to be and they can roll right out. It's in that position to go on the gun. And then other people, they like to reach down here and like grab under the shirt and then lift it like this, or kind of trace up the body that way. All of them are fine, right? Like I don't like this one a whole lot, like reaching under the shirt, because it just seems to be that you tend to miss it sometimes, you know what I mean, as you go for it. I don't know, but that's a personal preference. So whether you grab the whole front, whether it's thumb down or thumb up or grab under the shirt, all of that is completely fine. It's really your choice. So now we understand that what we're looking at doing when you defeat the garment is that we are trying to get the garment out of the way of the gun. So the more excess fabric that we have in the way, the harder it's going to, or the more likely it is that you pick up your shirt, do one of these, and you go to draw, and you get this thing, right? And that's no good for anybody. Well, it's kind of a quick fix, but why do we want to do it? So let's just make it right from the beginning. Now, talking about the shirt itself, if I wear a tighter shirt, well, you're probably going to be a little bit more, you're probably going to print more, fair enough. And if I wear a looser fitting shirt, it's not going to print as much. I'm going to be a little more comfortable, right? It's going to hide my little cinnamon roll love handles that I've been getting recently too. So with that said, but the bigger shirts are also going to have more fabric that you got to make sure you get around. So just make sure you got that big full handful, right? So as we do that, whether your hands are up, once I reach down, lead and trail, that's how we like to think of it. Reach down right on top of the buckle here, grab that big handful, hand comes down, gun comes up, and we're back out and on the target. So doing that again, Grab that handful, come up, and right out. Now, one thing that you can do also is that the shirt is a little bit baggy, or you tend to be the type of person that when you pull up, you kind of pull straight up like this versus keeping it in towards your chest. You see that little V that happens right here? Pull the shirt over to the side so it flattens that excess fabric out. And that'll help kind of make sure it doesn't get down onto the gun. For some people, that works really, really well. Some people don't need to do that. Some people do, okay? So remember, you have options to find what's right for you. So one more time as we do that, again, whether my hands are up and I come down, right out, or do that again, lead and trail. If my hands are down, I can come up right there and out. It all works. But I just want to make sure the shirt gets high enough. General rule of thumb is if you got your little nipples right here, just kind of bring your shirt up to that line, up to nipple line. And that should probably be good. Now you can adjust from here on out, okay? Now, we'll cover a couple other things with the button downs. So, because some people will say, oh, well, sometimes my shirt gets caught, right? Well, let's talk about that when we get to the button downs. So the next thing we need to talk about is actually going to be single hand draw, okay? So here's where you kind of have two options that I'm going to give you. There's 3 ways to do it. The one I don't recommend, but you know, hey, there's 3 ways to do it. Here's the 2 options I'll give you after that. So when we go to draw our gun single-handed, right, I know that I have to get this shirt out of the way before my hand comes back down on the gun. So some people simply like to just kind of throw it up and then race their hand back down and then kind of like hope that they can get the shirt out of the way. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but that shirt is sitting back on top. Well, sometimes, you know, if that works for you, fair enough, right? I don't recommend it because I like this shirt to be pinned and I like to know for a fact that it's actually out of the way. Option number 1, pull and pin. So when I reach down here and I go to grab my shirt, grab that handful, I pull up and all I do is I flare my elbow out and then I kind of swoop it back so that now the shirt is kind of being held by like my upper arm. You know what I mean? Like my armpit, bicep area somewhere right there. So once I draw, now it'll fall back down when I actually move my gun or present the gun. So again, that pull and pin, once I grab the shirt, I pull up, I drop the elbow, and I kind of sweep it and swim it forward like that. Now that's holding the shirt where I want. Hand comes on the gun, and now I can present the gun. Let's do that one more time. From here, grab my shirt, pull up, sweep that arm and trap it with the bicep, then I can draw my pistol. So there's one option. That's the one that I prefer. Again, you might not. So here's your second option. And this is one that works really well, especially if the shirts are real tight, you know, or you pull up and it gets binded up or something like that, or you don't have a whole lot of room in the shirt. I don't know, like you got like a tailored whatever, I don't know. But that the pull behind method, right? So this is pull and pin. I'm just gonna pull behind the gun and tuck it, and then I can draw my gun. So the key for this one is I can grab in the same spot, but I want it to be as tight and flat as possible as I wrap it around. So I need that tight there to make sure it's clear for the gun. Then I can draw and press the gun right out. Do that again. So see what happens if I grab over here and try and do it. I get one of these, it still kind of works, but with other shirts, it might not as well. And what we see sometimes is that little shirt can go right up over the top. If I grab here like this and just do one of these tucks, that's what we want to avoid. So instead, make sure that you grab at least in line with the slide or just in front of it. So right about your buckle or your zipper line is just an easy place to grab every single time. And as I pull here, pull tight across, tuck down, then I can grab the gun and press out. Cool? So that's what we're looking at doing. You have your pull and pin method, and then you have your tuck behind. Now, depending on how you're training, right, if you're just practicing on the range and doing this, one might work, the other might not work. But if you're going, say, getting on the mats with somebody and you're actually got your guns on, right, your safe guns, your blue guns, you know, or the little orange ones, or cert pistols or something like that, and you're rolling around, maybe that tuck behind might be a better option, right? But that's a really good place to train with it and practice it and try it out. now we're gonna talk about our actual button downs. So first thing with the button down, if you're wearing a t-shirt underneath, it's probably a good idea to tuck that in so you only have to clear one shirt, not two. So I just tuck mine in the front, like around to my waist, right? I don't worry about the back. Truth for you, the best way to do it is to tuck it right into your underwear, right? It'll look like that goofy person doing it, but it just helps keep the shirt down, especially with the holster rubbing and all that stuff. If you do tuck your shirt into your underwear, that's even if you wear underwear, it does help hold it in place a little bit better. But you also don't let anybody see that because they're gonna make fun of you, right? So with that said, tuck your undershirt inside so that you have to clear one shirt and not two. Now, looking at actual button downs, okay, first thing I think about is that we actually have the shirt attached at the midline. So the one nice thing about this shirt is if you needed to, this is actually, even though it looks like buttons, it has snaps on it, okay? So if it does need to break open, it will, okay? But the snaps actually hold pretty well too. So it's a nice little compromise there. So if your shirt, you do grab it, it needs to pop open, you can actually do that, and it's not gonna get caught around your butt with the tail of what a lot of shirts that are real stiff do. Now, looking at this, we need to think, where do we actually grab on the shirt? You have a couple options. One, grab right on the buttons here and do the exact same thing you did before. Two, you can grab to the left side of the seam line where the buttons are at or snaps are at, and you can lift up. But again, that can cause this flap to hang down in front of your pistol, which we don't necessarily want. The other option is you grab across the line or across the buttons to the other side. You grab here, grab a handful and pull up like this. Now, all those are fine, but I suggest you grab, well, except for this one really, right? Because I don't want that flap hemming down. But if you grab on the buttons, that's fine, that'll work great. If you grab across just a little bit and pull up, here's where that helps you. As I pull up, you naturally kind of pull across, and what does the shirt do? It starts to twist and you get a little bit higher, or you get to raise that shirt just a little bit higher than normal. Whereas with these thicker shirts, if you guys notice, the tail of a lot of shirts tends to get hooked right here and get tight around your butt, the top of your butt or your lower back. If I just grab here and I lift up, that's where it gets tight. So just a simple fix is pull across and twist the shirt a little bit and it'll help clear. So if you've ever gotten to the point where you grab a shirt and you're like, man, it's just, I grab it, it's real tight right here. It doesn't want to go up. Pull across and twist the shirt around, it'll kind of come unhitched from your butt. That's probably a good thing. It means you do squats, right? You got a booty on you. So the other option is I simply just take the shirt and I kind of flick it up in the back and kind of roll it up and under. But I mean, that's kind of like a range thing, right? If I know I'm about to draw, I'll kind of roll it up so it doesn't get caught, because how many of you guys are gonna walk around, it's gonna stay like that, you know, walking around town or whatever? It's not. So grab the buttons here, get a good handful. As you pull up, pull over slightly if you need to get a little bit more room and you feel resistance, or simply grab across to this flap, and as you pull up, if you meet resistance, pull across the body to clear it a little bit more. So that's how we're gonna do that with two hands, and everything else is exactly the same. So looking at that, I'll just kind of point this way for you. All right. Here, where my hands are down or hands are up or hands are down, doesn't matter. Hand comes down, grab that handful. Once I feel that resistance, I'll start to pull across the body right here. Now I can draw the gun and bring it up and out. Same thing, go on the other side, right? If I reach across that little bit and grab here, as I pull up, feel a little bit of resistance, pull it over, bring the shirt up and out, or bring the gun up and out, excuse me. So that's how we can clear with our button downs. Again, button downs are great because they help hide everything a little bit more concealment out of them, generally because of just the style, the button line, it adds some, you know, I don't know, some like disruption to it, whatever, I don't know what the word is, but like it seems to conceal a little bit better. However, the drawback is usually they're a little stiffer, right? They don't stretch as much as like a regular cotton shirt, and it might get caught, okay? So there's your options. Now, how many of you guys, if you wear this button down open like this, but you're still carrying at the appendix? Okay, well, this can get a little weird when you go to draw here and you grab this and you lift up, and now these two flaps are in the way. So one simple thing for that is, as my hand comes down, I kind of sweep that shirt back and I have to get my hand in front to pull back on that flap so then I can draw it. And that's pretty much it, right? I got to sweep this arm back, or when you do that, you can flick the shirt and pin it and then lift up and grab, okay? So those are kind of your two options with that. But whether it's buttoned or whether it's open, if it's open, have the shirt covering it up. If I'm gonna button it, tuck in that shirt behind it, and then when I pull up, once I meet resistance, twist it to the side a little bit, and that'll help clear and get it a little bit higher as it twists around your body so you can draw. Doing this with a single hand is pretty much the exact same process as you did with the t-shirt, with the button down now. The only difference is we know that button downs can be a little bit tighter, and it's just a different type of shirt that you gotta learn how to move, right? So when we gotta draw a single hand, we still have our pull and pin technique, right? I grab here, I pull straight up, and when I do, I pin that down and grab over the top. Bring the gun up and out. So I can still pull and pin. Again, when I do that, I wanna grab as much as I can right here. I wanna pull it up and snake that arm down to keep that shirt away as best as possible. The other option is, again, I'm going to tuck behind. So when I do that, with the button down, now I've got these two flaps, right? I really want to make sure I grab across to the opposite flap here or right on the line of the button line. And as I bring up, then pull over and tuck it down behind. So that with this shirt and the way that's made out of, or the stuff it's made out of, and just the way it's cut, you want to make sure that you really get that sucker tucked down hard and tight behind the gun, okay? So the process is the same, but now it's just getting out there and figuring out how does this shirt affect it. You might have different shirts that all work differently. So just because this shirt would feel one way, you've got some, other type of shirt, by Outdoor Research that feels a different way, and then so on and so forth, okay? So try out the different shirts. And a good rule of thumb is when you're about to leave the house, if you've got something like that on, just make sure your gun is clear, do 3 or 5 little reps real quick in the bathroom, and then leave, then load it back up and go. That'll go a long way. And then over time, as you do that, you're gonna learn what all those little different shirts are like. And it's just great dry fire practice, right? Dry fire is good. So here's that gear breakdown we talked about earlier, right? So first thing, this is the Canyon River shirt from Vertx. Pretty cool shirt. Again, they sent us because they sponsor it. So they're sponsoring the channel and us. So got snaps, right? I like that feature of it. It's got, looks like buttons though. And then in here, they put these little it's soft, but it's a little extra something to grab onto, right? It's a little tactile touch or whatever big word it is, but there's a pocket right here you can put little weights in. If you want to, then you can sew that back up or do whatever you want. So if you wanted to weight your shirt because you were carrying 3 o'clock, like as an open shirt or whatever, and this is not buttoned, then it'll swing that and clear that a little bit better. So you can put that weights in here. Yeah, other than that, little Velcro stuffy there. I don't even know. Ooh, fancy. It also looks really cool. That's why I liked it. So fits good, feels good, whatever. So this is the Vertx Canyon River shirt. Then you might notice BAER Solutions t-shirt, guaranteed to improve performance, available on the website. Yes, no. Okay, so t-shirt, available at BAER Solutions, that's one of ours. And then below we have, let's show you that first. So concealed carry belt is the Agonic belt. This is actually the new stainless steel buckles that we're coming out with. There's a little bit thinner buckle, but it's just stainless steel, right? So that's that. These will be coming out soon. If you guys notice, you can't really see the clips to all that much, right? Because of our patent pending, blah, 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 this other stuff, concealed carry placard behind it. Okay, so all your clips go on the placard behind. It's a one size fits most belt. It's stretchy. Concealed carry, you see it's got a little bit of stretch to it, but it's still nice and thick, so it holds everything in place. You don't even need to use the concealed carry placard, this Tegris placard back here, but you can if you want, okay? So there's that. Just pull that out. And then brings us to our, as I'm getting undressed right in front of you, all you guys staring at my crotch. All right, so Tier 1 concealed holster. I have no idea what name it is, but real cool. Glock 43X, this little Surefire rechargeable light. That was nice and tight and small, so I put that on there. So there's something about this I want to show you guys. I just found this company. They're called Empire. I was looking for a concealed carry magwell to put on here because I really like having a little magwell on my guns. One that just feels good on the hand. It kind of feels like it wedges my hand in there better, but I just like them. Why not, right? So Empire, I don't know anything about this dude, but I saw the magwell, so I bought it. And then he had this cool trigger, drop-in trigger for the Glock 43s and 43Xs. This thing feels super cool. Just the trigger shoe itself is very different from what you normally see on the market. I don't know, it just feels good. It feels different.
That safety is pretty unique.
It is, dude. It's a lot bigger. It's like, it's a big pad right in the middle, but when it goes down, completely, you can see it's got ridges on the trigger shoe and it's really flat and a little hook on the bottom. I don't know. I like the fact that this little trigger safety is a lot fatter than normal. And then when you push it down, it's just like 2 bars on each side of your finger. I don't know how to explain it, man. I really like the way it feels, if that makes sense. But that's super cool. So I bought those a couple months, or like a little while ago, and just put that in. So yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Got that. Got the this little bracelet from Agonic that's like a fire starter. This is ceramic, so it's a glass breaker, and it helps start the fires for this ferrocene rod right there. It's Kevlar string and stuff like that. Agonic belt, shirt. I got a watch, which is really good for telling the time, right? So it's a tag. I think you say it Hoyer is how it's pronounced. I don't know, dude. Tag Heuer, Hoyer, whatever. Aqua Racer. So I like this thing. I've had it for a long time, a lot of years. Other than that, Ear Pro, Auto Engineering noise barriers, coffee mug, bullets, Leupold sunglasses. Oh, and the dad hat. Go buy one. It's available in our store. Go buy a hat. They're pretty cheap. They look great on you. You'll look awesome. Today we're going to talk about defeating our guard. I can't do that with a serious face. I'm sorry. No. Just the tip. That was not PG.